Welcome back to our NCAA football win total series. We continue on in the ACC, and we are at Duke. And Duke was a historically bad football program. From 1961 through 2011, they made two bowl games, one under Steve Spurrier, one under Fred Goldsmith. David Cutcliffe shows up in 2008. Four rough years, 4 wins, 5 wins, 3 wins, 3 wins, and then finally gets him to a bowl game in 2012. They go to the Belk Bowl. They would go to 6 bowl games in 7 years. Then in 2019, it started to decline. 5 wins, 2 wins, 3 wins. Mike Elko shows up in 2022. They have a 9-win year, including a Military Bowl win. And then Elko's back in 2023, and it started off with an upset of Clemson. Number 9 Clemson beat them. Then they beat Lafayette, Northwestern, and then at UConn. They'd fall by 7 to Notre Dame, then beat NC State. Then they'd fall to Florida State, fall to Louisville, beat Wake Forest, lose in double overtime to North Carolina, lose to Virginia by 3. They would beat Pitt to end the regular season. That would put them in the Birmingham Bowl where they beat Troy. 8-5 overall. Mike Elko did not coach that bowl game, though. He was on his way to Texas A&M. Trooper Taylor ended up coaching the bowl game. He's now at Texas A&M. So they make a new hire, and that is Manny Diaz. I like this hire. It should improve the defense, and maybe he didn't have the greatest success as a head coach at Miami, but definitely should be a pretty solid hire for Duke. But they need pieces. We look at the team. Riley Leonard's gone. He suffered that ankle injury early on. This team would have been better last year if he hadn't gotten hurt. Then Grayson Loftus was expected to take over after he handled the offense for most of last year, but Duke lands Malik Murphy, a transfer from Texas. He should be solid. He's a big guy, though. He should be a pretty good guy. Won't run it as much as someone like Riley Leonard. 3 of the top 4 receivers are back. Jordan Moore coming off 62 catches and 8 touchdowns. They have some tight ends. They lost their leading rusher in Jordan Waters. He's at NC State, but Jaquez Moore's here. Also, Star Thomas comes in from New Mexico State. Here's the issue with the offense. Graham Barton, first-round pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Jacob Monk taken later by the Green Bay Packers. They lost their 2 best offensive linemen. They brought in a guy from Penn for one of the tackle spots. They had to replace all 5 starters, and it is tough for Duke to get transfers in because of the academic requirements. The offensive line could be a major issue this year. On defense, should be an improvement. Duke was 1-5 when allowing 21 or more points, 7-0 when they gave up fewer. Hopefully they're there. The line, all 4 starters from last year are gone, so there's some issues there. They do bring in R.J. Oben from Notre Dame, or they lose R.J. Oben to Notre Dame. They lose DeJuan Carter to the NFL. They bring in Kennedy Charles from Liberty. There's just not a lot of size on this defensive line. It's going to get worn down pretty easily. Outside linebacker Trey Freeman is back. Nick Morris is going to be asked to do more now. There's, again, a lot of depth concerns at the linebacker position. The secondary, that's pretty good. Came up with 10 picks last year. Joshua Pickett and Chandler Rivers are back. Jalen Stenson's back. That's going to be the strength for this defense. The biggest worry is going to be stopping the run. They don't have a lot of size. They don't have a lot of experience. When you look at the schedule, opens up. Pretty good non-con schedule for them. August 30th against Elon. That should be a win. September 7th at Northwestern. I lean loss here. I don't think they're going to get that one. September 14th, UConn at home. I lean win. I think they lose one of those 2 games. September 21st at Middle Tennessee. That should be a win even on the road. Then they get into the ACC schedule. September 28th, North Carolina. Yeah, North Carolina is replacing Drake May, but their line is just going to beat up on Duke. That's a loss. October 5th at Georgia Tech. Again, another loss. They have their first bye on October 12th. October 18th, Florida State comes to town. Don't see that being a win either. October 26th, they get SMU. SMU is going to be a pretty good team their first year in the ACC. They can run the ball well. I think that's a loss as well. November 2nd, Manny Diaz gets to go back to Miami. Miami's just better. That's going to be a loss. November 9th at NC State, also a loss. They have their second bye on November 16th. They host Virginia Tech November 23rd. They might sneak up on Tech, but I lean loss there. Then finally, November 30th at Wake Forest. I think that's their best chance to get an ACC win this year. They don't get Syracuse. They don't get Virginia. They don't get Stanford. A lot of the teams that they can pluck off in the ACC aren't on their schedule. I think their best chance to get an ACC win is going to be at Wake Forest. And it's possible that they're 4-0 coming out of the gate, but it's also possible they're 2-2. If there's 2-2, there's no way they get to their win total. Win total set pretty much everywhere at 5.5. There is one 4.5 out there. When I look at this, it feels like a 4-win team. It's not because of the skill positions. They just don't have guys on the offensive and defensive line. It's a tough ACC schedule. Really looking at sitting at 4 wins, 5 wins, kind of tapping out. If they go over, it may be 7 or 8. That's just a out of the blue huge season for Manny Diaz. But I really have this around 4 wins. On that, we're going to take the under 5. We're going to get a little aggressive, go with an under 5 because the juice on the under 5.5 are pretty heavy. Sitting at minus 135 at Caesars. If you like this content, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.